dudes, how you doing? I hope you're having a damn good day. Welcome back to the channel, and right now it feels a bit like deja vu, but we will be talking about Gary O'Neill's Wolves side, his sort of tactics formation going forward. And yes, we literally like a week or two ago did the Julian Lopetegui set of tactics, and that man damn well walked out the door. So here we are back again doing the Gary O'Neill set of tactics and formation. So more or less I envision it to be a 4-4-1-1 formation. I need to say a 4-4-2, it's a 4-4-1-1. It's more or less the formation that he went with at Bournemouth, and I am basing a lot of what I'm going to be doing in this off of his Bournemouth tactics from last season, so bear with me, it will be good. But basically what I did notice about this team is it's going to be very basic. He's going to try and take them back to the basics, make sure that they're defensively solid. Going forward, they'll look to try and counter and try and trigger certain errors in the opposition to try and get them faster paced goals, of course. So yes, we will discuss that with the tactics, the formation, the instructions, and everything. If you can, smash the like button. Of course, I have the damn birds outside going crazy, squawking and everything. So hit the like button, subscribe if you are new to the channel. Can't even get the words out. Subscribe if you are new, that would be absolutely fantastic. The road to 2,000 subs is on. So basically, starting off with the team, of course, we've got Cunha, we've got Podence, we've got Nunez and Gomez in the midfield, we've got Sarabia on the right-hand side, and then we've got Guedes on the left-hand side. Now, he's recently come back from, I think it was Benfica. Now, I'm not sure exactly if he's going to be leaving or not, but he is one of their best players, so I will try and keep him as badly as possible if I'm Wolves. We've got Aitan Nori on the left-hand side, Kilman, Dawson, and Doherty, and then, of course, we've got Sarr. We've got Kalajdzic, Neto, Traore, Lamina on the bench with Bentley, Smedo, and Gomez, and then we've got a few other players in the reserves. I'm basically trying just to go over this as fast as possible because, like I said, 2 weeks ago we literally did the Julian Lopetegui set of tactics. As for the formation, as you can see there, it's a 4-4-1-1 attack. What I've basically done is I've changed Podence's position from being a centre forward into a cam, so it works out quite well. As for the tactics, this is why I say it's going to be more or less looking at very basic defense, try and take this team back to the basics of just knowing how to defend, knowing how to keep their structure, their shape, making it very hard for the opposition to try and break down, and that's more or less what Wolves do. Although in the gameplay above, I damn well conceded a load of goals, but I did end up winning, so you know what, smash the like just for that. But basically, right, Gary O'Neill is going to want to try and make sure that the back four is always tight, the midfield in front of them, including the likes of Podence, will be very hard, very narrow, compact to break down. That's why the width is set to 35. And the depth is a nice mid-block, so when they do spring forward and attack, their centre-backs and their backline will look to try and press up, but it's a mid-block, so the likes of Kilman and Dawson won't be over-hyperly exposed if there is a quick counter-attack against you, of course. As for the build-up play, it is set to a fast build-up. Like I said, it's going to be a counter-attacking football, and we did see last season with the likes of Solanke and I forget some of the Bournemouth players' names, but mainly Solanke. A lot of the goals that he scored last season, and Billing, of course, a lot of the goals that they scored last season was off the counter, a little 1-2 pass in behind, one at the top, bang, fire, score goals. And of course, the game against Spurs where they ended up coming back and winning, I think it was at Tottenham's ground, they were really, really good at just being able to sit back, soak up pressure, and then counter-attack and spring the traps on Spurs going forward. So, of course, fast-paced build-up, that's what you want. You also want forward runs, so like I mentioned, Solanke, he was very good at being very direct as well. So you can have it on forward runs or directs, but I've got it set to forward runs, so it gets more of the offensive players, I should say, going forward, gets them more involved in the game, and it does tend to stretch the defensive backline a little bit more, allowing for the likes of Podence to operate a bit more freer in a way, I guess. But as for the width, it is set to 70, which is a nice happy medium. It does allow the likes of your wing-backs, full-backs of course, as well as your wingers to operate in that nice wide area. It also allows the midfield two of either Lamina and Gomez, or in this case it's Nunez and Gomez, to be nicely spread out, allowing them to show for passes. It opens up a bit more wider angle passing lanes, of course, as well. So going forward, it does work out very, very nicely. As for players in the box, it's set to 6. Not a lot of players, but you will have the likes of at least Cunha, Podence, and the opposite winger in the box waiting for the crosses, and you will be looking to fire those crosses into the box as much as possible. Preferably cutbacks. Cutbacks with this team works very, very well, and it's something that we didn't really see that much from Gary O'Neill, but I think he will more or less look to try and implement that type of possession, I guess you could say. As for corners and free kicks, as per always, guys, it is set to 4. So, just having a look at the likes of Jose Sa and his set of instructions going forward, he's set to come for crosses, so he's going to try and relieve the pressure on the backline, of course, claim crosses, claim corner kicks, claim free kicks, everything you can think of, he's going to claim it, and he's going to try and roll it out to the likes of Kilman and Dawson, who have set to their base set of instructions, as per always. Now, as for the fullbacks in this situation, slight differentiation between the two. Doherty is set to balance attack, normal interception, and overlap, so he will more or less sometimes look to overlap if the ball is on this right hand side, but more times than not he's going to look to stay back, try and almost create a back three, a very solid back three, of course, especially because they will look to always drop back into their formation going backwards when the opposition have the ball, of course. And then, of course, he is set to stick to position. Now, a bit different on this side, it is set to join the attack in overlapping runs as well as stick to position. Now, last season we saw Vigna more or less bomb on forward, be super aggressive with the ball, win Bournemouth, were in possession, more or less overlapping the winger at times, who would more or less look to try and cut inside, creating a lot of space for Vigna on that left-hand side. So the left-hand side, you're going to try and get Aitanori as high up the field as possible, try and fire more crosses into the box from that left-hand side. So just having a look at Nunez, of course, he is set to stay back while attacking, get into the box, aggressive interceptions, drift wide. So he will look to try and cover the likes of Aitanori when he does tend to bomb on forward, which is a very nice happy medium, because then you are fairly solid when you're looking to drop back and the opposition does try and counter-attack, because you know you'll have a defensive backline that is very capable of stopping the counter-attack with more or less like a little counter-press, you could say. And then, of course, he is set to stay back while attacking to try and shield that back line. But mainly, that role does go to Gomez, who is set to stay back while attacking, balanced crossing runs, aggressive interceptions, stick to position, of course, and cover centre. So he will more or less look to try and shield that back line. Nunez will help from time to time, but it will mainly be the role of Gomez going forward and backwards and sideways, of course. As for Sarabia, he is set to come back on defence, stay wide, of course, so you want him to more or less have the touchline, create 1v1 situations. And I think his name is Otaro from Bournemouth. He was more or less in this role more times than not, and he has a load of pace to burn, whereas Sarabia is not the fastest of players, but he can more or less beat a man 1v1 situations. He's got that first quick burst of energy and pace, so he can do that, and of course he is set to get into the box across. So he will look to try and make angled runs from time to time, back post runs, of course, potentially late runs into the box, in open areas, because obviously we have it set to 6, which is only more or less 3 players. So in this situation, if Sarabia or Doherty is looking to cross, Sarabia will not be the player in the box. It will more or less be Guedes, Podence, and Cunha. But speaking of Guedes, he is set to come back on defense, cut inside, get in behind, and get into the box. So he'll also look to more or less make angled runs, but he is also going to cut inside to create space for the likes of Aitanori to bomb on forward. And that also more or less creates space for him, because now you've got a defender trying to say, do I go with him or do I stay with this guy? So it does make a load of sense. Why can't I get the words out of my mouth? Anyway, the Caicedo deal has thrown me off completely today, so you know, it is what it is. But anyway, he is set to also come back on defense to try and help Aitanori. So if Aitanori is out of position, there will be another layer of defensive support. Like I say, Gary O'Neill, he is going to try and make sure that this team is super solid with its defensive compartments, but at the same time, go back to the basics to make sure that the foundations are set for a very successful team going forward. And then, as you can see here, Podence, the cam, he is set to stay forward, get into the box for crosses, stick to position, of course, and aggressive interceptions. Now, you will notice that all of my midfielders have aggressive interceptions on. You want to try and hurry the defense when they enter that middle of the field, and you want to try and be as aggressive with them as possible, trying to win the ball back as fast as possible, because more or less you are looking to try and counter-attack and pounce on the mistake, right? So that's more or less how you can replicate that. But more importantly, with Philip Billing, last season we saw that the likes of Solanke and him would more or less create like a front 2 or a 4-4-2 formation, with the likes of Billing pressing quite high, but also slightly behind the likes of Solanke, and also allowing for Solanke to play off of him, which is going to be the Podence role. It could even be the Cunha role if you do want to play Kalajdzic up front, of course, but again, he does lack a little bit of pace going forward. But anyway, so that is more or less the thinking behind him is being set to stay forward as well as get into the box, of course. And then finally, we have got Matthias Cunha, who I rate so highly. Like, it's unbelievable how much I rate this man. Which is kind of why I don't think Wolves will get relegated. Even though a lot of teams are, or a lot of people are saying Wolves are probably going to go down, you know, they're just not good. If they get rid of Cunha, I think, you know, it might happen. But they still have good quality in the team. They have Kilman, they have Aitanori, Guedes, Podence, Sarabia, of course. These are some good quality players. I don't think they're going down, to be honest. Anyway, but speaking of Cunha, he is said to have a balance with, so he will look to try and drift wide, run the channels, run the lanes, try and cut down and close down angles for the opposition to pass into. Mainly the goalkeeper, he'll look to always try and implement the press on the goalkeeper, hurry him up a bit. But more importantly, he's said to get him behind. Now, we did see last season with Solanke, the link-up play with him and Philip Billing, as well as the wingers. He would always look to try and play off the shoulder of the back line and try and make runs in behind, keeping them on their toes as much as possible. He's also set to normal interceptions, and then of course he's set to stay forward, so he will be your outlet ball going forward, which makes the most sense if you are looking to try and counter-attack, which Wolves will be looking to do under Gary O'Neill. A very fluid but very strong defensive structure to this team going forward, backwards, sideways, however you would like to put it. So, if you can, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that video if you would like for the next set of tactics. And of course, until the next time, my dudes, I hope you have a damn great day. I am out of here.